to the new year, and I'm just now making my worst of 2024. And this is kind of like worst books of the year, of the month, of whatever. It's kind of my favorite thing to make. I really, really love it. Um, yeah, it's fun. And as much as I like the best books of, which I'm going to make right after this, so we're going to start with some dishonorable mentions. The first one is going to be Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. Um, Weird plot, um, like some magic that didn't really make sense. And the biggest, oops, the biggest criticism I hear about this one is that there's nothing new. Um, that didn't bother me. What bothered me was how poor the writing was and just how flat everything was. The second dishonorable mention would be Justinian's Flea. This is the story of the first, well, it says it's the story of the first outbreak of the bubonic plague, but it's not. We don't hardly get any mention of the plague of Justinian. It's like a biography of Justinian's life. And then my last dishonorable mention is a story called Muslim with quotation marks. This one, I like ambiguous writing, but this one, it was translated, so I'm gonna give it that. Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. So maybe if I was smarter, I would have gotten it, but who knows. So I'm just gonna start off with the worst book I read this year. These are not really in any particular order, but this one is the worst I read. It's a graphic memoir called It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth. Not only was this book bad, it had no plot, the main character was so unlikable. I'm going to say this book is potentially dangerous because it's about a girl who's struggling with depression, but she doesn't do anything about it. She just wallows in her depression. And while it is probably good for some people just to see themselves represented, it's not good to write a book with the overall message being it's okay to sulk and be miserable and not get help and want to stab yourself in the neck and just not do anything about it. Couldn't stand it. Alright, so the second worst book on this list is Silver Foxed. I actually read this because I was about to write a sex scene in one of my novels, and I haven't written or read one of those in a really long time, so I kind of studied this. I am going to go ahead and apologize because I think this is technically considered kink shaming, but I thought this was disgusting. It had like a breeding kink where, I mean, I didn't like it. So if you are like grossed out by like butt stuff and playing house and what, yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm like getting disgusted. So the third book on this list is The Fall. It's a novella, and it's not The Bound and the Broken, or is it? I don't know. It's the Of Blood and Fire one, and this one was even worse than Of Blood and Fire. And a lot of people love it, but I did not like it because of the pacing. It was just like there was no time for us to stop and sort of rest. Now, before you get to the whole, okay, well, it's a novella, even short stories have moments to let us kind of like calm down and then get back into the story. If you're just like running throughout the story, your story has no structure. And The Fall was kind of like that. And I remember thinking, like, why did they not protect the dragon eggs better? Like, it was so easy. If those are so, like, precious, why were they so easy to steal? So, yeah, just really perfunctory. Again, poor writing and terrible pacing. And so, the next one is Stormlight. I read this for my April Fool's video. I do one of those every year. And this one was like in the middle of a series. I think it's called the Harper series. And I had no idea what was going on. It was weird. There was like floating heads. And while I do like pulp, kind of like that, I probably shouldn't have read like the middle of the series. I just couldn't acclimate to the world, and again, didn't know much of what was going on. So yeah, so eventually I will read The Way of Kings, the Stormlight Archive novel, but I thought this was a really good April Fool's prank where I titled the video, I finally read Stormlight, but it was D&D Stormlight, it wasn't the Stormlight Archive. Last book on this list was Zodiac Academy, The Awakening. I actually did a vlog of this, but I had to remove it because the school district I was working for found it and got really mad about it. I am no longer technically employed by that school district because I rage quit, but I haven't gotten my final payout, so when I get my final payout, I'll relist it. But Zodiac Academy, again, not much plot, strange structure. The characters were just like automatically good at everything. Turns out they're like twins, but they're Fae twins. And if you've read or you tried to read Zodiac Academy, you know what I'm talking about. And I tried to read it because it's romantasy, and I was doing a romantasy vlog. There's no romance section. There's like one fingering scene, and that's it. And I don't even really know how to describe it because there was no structure to it. I compared it, it was really hard not to compare to Fourth Wing. And when you sum up the structure of a story, it's easily summed up in a formula called somebody wanted but so. So we look at Fourth Ring. So we've got our main character, Violet Sorrengail, wants to be a dragon rider, but she's too weak, so she trains her butt off, then finds out the good guys aren't so good after all. That's Fourth Wing. You can't do that with Zodiac Academy just because the structure's so horrendous. So those are the worst books with some dishonorable mentions that I read. I've just realized I forgot to talk about my hair. Yes, I cut all my hair off because I was tired of it getting stuck in my oxygen mask and pulling it so freaking hard, so I just chopped it off. So that was my 5 worst of the year, so I'm going to wrap this video up and then talk about the best.